Good day. My name is Shagimoldina M O. I am biology teacher in Nazarbayev Intellectual School of Astana. And today we'll continue our online lessons with you. And today's our topic will be about transport system, about circulatory system. And first, I would like you to know our objectives of our lesson. First, draw and label a diagram of the heart showing the 4 chambers, associated blood vessels, valves, and route of blood through the heart. Second, explain the relationship between the structure and function of arteries, veins, and capillaries. And the last one is state the blood component. Function of the circulatory system. Some animals have few cells that all of their cells are in direct contact with the environment. Diffusion and active transport across cell membranes supply the cells with oxygen and nutrients and remove waste products. Yes, for example, of this statement, we could think about amoeba. Amoeba is unicellular organism, and it has only single cell, and it doesn't need a special system which will supply it with nutrients and with the oxygen. Why? Because it is already contact with the environment with help of its own cell membrane. But the situation looks different in the multicellular organisms. For example, in let's say about a human being. In human body, it contains millions and trillions of cells, and our cells they are not directly contacted with the environment. That is why we need some system, and that system is circulatory system. Okay, function of the circulatory system. What is the function? The circulatory system transports oxygen, nutrients, and other substances throughout the body and removes wastes from tissues. Okay, here you are. Here you see the transport system. Here we'll look at the heart structure, heart function, blood vessels, and blood component. The transport system, also known as the circulatory system, is made up of the heart, the blood, and complex network of vessels. If we could unravel the blood vessels in our body, we could cover a distance of almost 100,000 kilometers. It is very, very big. Okay, this is the real human heart picture. Now let's look at the heart structure. To be honest, we could divide human heart into 2 parts. And to be honest, human has 2 hearts, and we could say it is left side and the right side of the heart. 2 sides with different functions. Right side to receive and pump blood to the lungs, and the left side to receive and pump blood to the body. And please remember that the difference of mammals, for example, from reptiles, from other organisms, is that our blood in the right side and in the left side, it is never like mixed. Okay, You see here animation of that, and two types of chambers. We have two types of chambers, atrium and ventricle. I will show it with help of pictures now. 4 chambers, 2 atria, 2 ventricles, cardiac muscle which controlled involuntary. We already talked about that at the previous our lesson. And the ultimate control, autonomic nervous system control. Okay, now let's talk about chambers and valves. The heart is divided into 4 chambers, as we said. We have 2 atrium and 2 ventricle. We have right atrium and left atrium, right ventricle and left ventricle. Look at this picture carefully. In this picture, you see atriums and ventricles. Could you find in this picture, in blue color, letters RA? RA means in this picture right atrium. Then above of that, not above, sorry, on the bottom of that, you could see letters RV, which mean right ventricle. This is right side of the heart. Look at the next side, yeah, left side of the heart. On the left side, you could also find LA, which mean left atrium, and LV, which mean left ventricle. Okay, I think it's clear with the ventricles. We have 2 sides of heart, left side and right side. In each side we have atrium and ventricle. And please remember that in biology, one skill is very important. What is that skill? This skill is drawing. You should be able to draw. Yeah. For example, in this task you have like this example: draw and label a diagram of the heart showing the 4 chambers, associated blood vessels, valves and route of blood through the heart. If you have like this task, you should be able to draw it easily. Okay, let's repeat one more time again. And now I will show you a little bit more. Yeah, look at this picture carefully. Very good picture, very accurate picture. First, look at the right side of the heart. On the right side, you could find right atrium, as we already said. And then at the bottom of that, you could see right ventricle. And between of right atrium and right ventricle, you could find arterioventricular valve. Could you see that? Yes, that place, exactly that place, will join these 2 chambers, yeah, connect them. And this arterioventricular valve, it is a valve, yeah. In Russian, we could say klapan. Okay, this valve helps to pump blood. Okay, and look at the at the left side of the heart. Here you could see left atrium and left ventricle, and of course you could find here also arterioventricular valve in this side. The function is the same as in the right side. And between these 2 sides, you see that muscle tissue, yeah, cardiac muscle tissue, very thin, very thick, sorry. And we call it especially, yeah, with the name muscle tissue. And look at this heart picture carefully. If you do that, yeah, you easily identify that the left side has more thicker wall. Why do you think so? Why it is important to have? You know, in the nature we don't have anything like by accident. It is specially making. And now during our lesson we'll answer this question. Why this left ventricle, the bottom of the left ventricle, has much more thicker muscle tissue? Okay, now let's talk about valves. We said valves in the heart prevent backflow of blood. Yeah, it prevents. The function of valves is preventing. Okay, between each chamber, as we already said, is an arterioventricular valve, or we could write it like AV, yeah, to prevent blood from the atrium and ventricle from mixing. And then we have the second type of the semilunar valves, and they are at the two exits of heart to prevent backflow as well. Okay, I will explain this more now. Now look at these interesting facts. The average heartbeat is 72 times per minute. In the course of one day, it beats over 100,000 times. In 1 year, the heart beats almost 38 million times, and by the time you are 70 years old, on average, it reached 2.5 billion beats. Okay, the heart is hollow, muscular organ that maintains blood circulation throughout the body. It lies behind the sternum, yeah, you know, sternum, which connect our ribs, yeah, and makes rib cage. Our ribs connected on the on front of our body with the sternum, and the back of our body with the spinal cord, and it makes the rib cage, yeah, sternum, between the lungs. Okay, it lies behind the sternum, between the lungs. Its size in almost adults approximates that of the clenched fist, yeah, like this. For example, my heart, the size of my heart is like this, and yours like yours fist. A heartbeat is a rhythmic contraction of the heart muscle as it pumps blood. A normal heart usually beats 60 to 90 times per minute when the person at rest. Okay, now please look carefully at this picture. I will explain a little bit about how our heart works, yeah? And here you see 4 chambers and how blood will go through that 4 chambers. First of all, I would like to say that in our body we have 2 types of circulation. Yeah, in Russian we call it big and small circulation, but in English it is a little bit different. Okay, look at now cardiac cycle. Cardiac cycle, the cardiac cycle is the repetitive sequence of events in which the heart chambers contract and relax. is a coordinated manner to send blood continuously around the circulatory system. As with all cycles, there is, strictly speaking, no one point that can be considered the beginning. Yeah, we couldn't say here the heart start to work and here it is circulation, it like circle. Okay, the basic heart structure. This diagram covers the basic internal structure of the heart. The heart should be regarded as a double pump, left side and right side. We said about that. Each side of the heart works in synchrony with other side or in the cardiac cycle. The events on one side of the heart are mirrored by those on the other side. What this statement mean? It means that we said our heart has two sides, left side and right side, yeah, and it pumps simultaneously in the same time. It will not work like pump this side and then pump the second side. It's not true. The true thing about the heart's work, it pumps together in the same time. Okay, the events. Okay, the left ventricle is larger than the right ventricle in both the ventricular volume and thickness of the surrounding muscular walls. Okay. As with all pressured fluid system, there is a valve system to maintain the one-way flow of blood. We said that the function of valves is prevention, yeah, to prevent backflow of blood, again, for example, from the ventricle into arterium. Why? It is very important. Now, the arterioventricular valves prevent backflow of pressured blood from the ventricle to the atria. Yeah? The right arterioventricular valve has three cups. The difference between arterioventricular valve in two sides, that one of them has two caps and the second one has three caps. That's why we call it bicuspid and tricuspid. The left side of the heart has two caps and is also known as bicuspid valve. Okay, please remember: right tricuspid, left bicuspid. The semilunar valves prevent backflow, and here we have this bicuspid and tricuspid situated between atrium and ventricles. But semilunar valves situated prevent backflow from arteries to the ventricles, yeah, when the heart relaxes during the diastole. Heart sounds are caused by closure of the heart valves, yeah, the sound of our heart making by the valves. This system of valves keeps blood moving through the heart in one direction, like traffic on a one-way street. It is important because this prevents backflow of blood, and the blood will move only in one direction, and it is very important, valves. And now let's look at the cardiac cycle. Cardiac cycle has main stages. Yeah, first one is diastole. All heart muscle is state of relaxation. Arterial blood pressure is greater than ventricular pressure. The semilunar valves are closed. Ventricle pressure is still higher than arterial pressure. Atrioventricular valves closed. What does mean diastole? Diastole means relaxation. In this stage, heart will not contract. Heart in this stage relaxing. Look at this picture. In this picture, you see that atrioventricular valves, they are closed, and semilunar valves, they are also closed. Yeah. And about the pressure inside the heart, ventricle pressure in this stage are still higher than in arterial. Yeah, okay. Arterial distension. At this point, the arteria are both filling with blood from both the pulmonary veins and the vena cava. If you look at this picture now, the heart is still in a state of diastole in this picture. All the valves are closed, yeah, all valves, semilunar and arterioventricular, they are closed. The passive return of blood to the arteria along veins causes the pressure to rise within the artery and the wall to distend, yeah, to swell. Okay, yeah. In this picture, artery fills with blood, and heart will not contract. Heart is relaxing. Blood just come into the artery without any extra energy. Yeah? Note that this stage is still diastole in this picture. The pressure in the artery is greater, than the pressure in the ventricles. The pressure difference here, yeah, the pressure in the artery, it's very important, in the artery is greater than the pressure in the ventricle now. And the difference between this, between these chambers makes the arterioventricular valves to open. Yeah, you see that in this stage, from the artery, blood go into the ventricle now. The ventricle passively fills with blood. Note the semilunar valves are still closed in this picture. Okay, diastole finished, and now arterial systole. The artery contract together. Yeah. The contraction of the arterial muscle reduces the volume of the arterium. Okay, this volume reduction increases the pressure on the blood within the arterium. The increase in pressure forces additional volume of blood into the ventricle. This stretches the ventricle walls. Okay, this is arterial systole. Now heart contract. Exactly the arterial muscle, yeah, will reduce the volume. That is why now actively blood will go into the arterium. Which valves are open now? Of course, arterioventricular valves. And which valves are closed? Of course, semilunar valves. Okay, systole contraction of the ventricles. The ventricle walls contract in both sides together. There is a sudden pressure increase within the ventricles. The pressure in the ventricles greater than the pressure in the artery now. Now situation is different. The pressure in the systole, yeah, of ventricle, the situation is different. Why? Because now the pressure in the ventricle is greater than in the artery. This difference in the pressure between artery and ventricle makes the arterioventricular valves close. Okay, arterioventricular valves close, yeah, okay, which prevent backflow of blood again into the artery. Okay, ventricular pressure is lower than arterial pressure. Semilunar valves remain closed. Semilunar valves are still closed. Isovolumetric contraction, the ventricle contracts, increasing the blood pressure, but the blood cannot yet pass out into the artery. This gives a sudden and large pressure increase. Systole continues. Ventricular pressure is greater than arterial pressure. The semilunar valves open. Now look at the picture. Blood ejects into the arteries. Pulse. Okay. Pressure in the ventricles peaks rapidly as we come to the end of systole. Note, the arterioventricular valves are still closed. As pressure falls in the ventricle, the arterial blood will backflow, closing the semilunar valves and creating the second heart sound, DAP. We now return to the first diagram in the cycle as we are back in relaxed condition called diastole. After this systole of ventricle, we come back into the previous first stage, yeah, which we looked at, relaxation stage, which we call diastole. Okay, why? Because this is cycle. Okay, explain the action of the heart in terms of collecting blood, pumping blood, and opening and closing of valves. This is task for you to train. Okay. Now look at this picture. How long it takes? Yeah, the overall one heart cycle takes 0.8 seconds, and arterial systole, ventricular diastole, 1.0 second. 0.1 second, and the semilunar valves open, which mean ventricular systole, arterial diastole. It takes 0.3 second, and the last arterial and ventricular diastole 0.4 second. Okay. In your like free time, you could look at what we already talked about together with help of this diagram. This diagram, in the future, if you would like to link your life with the science or with biology, you should able to read this kind of diagram. Just look at the axis. Yeah, here we have in axis time in second and blood pressure. Yeah, and here you see volume, left ventricle in red line, in green line aorta, and in blue line left atrium. In your free time, you could look at this. Control of heart rate. How our heart rate will control? Interesting question. Our heart controls like this. The myogenic rhythm can be modified by the central nervous system to respond to cardiovascular demands. Within the medullary region of the brain, there are specialized group of receptors and coordinators called the cardiac center. They are connected to CAN via two nerves. Yeah. Okay. First, look at this picture. In this picture, you see our brain. yeah. And as you see, yeah, within the medulla here region, we have center which we call cardiac center. Okay, and they are connected to the sinoarterial node via two nerves. First one is accelerator nerve, and the second one decelerator nerve. Accelerator nerve that increases the rate of CAN activity to produce faster heart rate, and vice versa. Decelerator works vice versa. It will decrease the rate of CAN and actively to slow heart rate. CAN, as we already said, it is sinoarterial node. It's also sensitive to hormone such as adrenaline that can directly stimulate heart rate. Where CAN situated, it's situated in the, what do you think, in the left, in the atrium, yeah? But what do you think, in the left or in the right side? Of course, it's situated in the right atrium, yeah? Okay, the brain is sensitive to a wide range of stimuli, including pH and carbon dioxide levels, which reflect the demand of the tissues for oxygen. As an example, exercise produces more carbon dioxide in plasma. Detected by the cardiac center, they stimulate the accelerator nerve, and therefore the CAN to increase heart rate. Example, your heart beats faster when you exercise. Yeah, of course, and as we already said, also sinoarterial node is sensitive for hormones, for example, adrenaline. When you feel yourself in a danger, you will release more adrenaline, which will increase your heart beat, and that's why you will react faster. Okay, now circulation. The two pathways of blood through the body are called pulmonary circulation and systemic circulation. Okay, pulmonary circulation link with the lung. Systemic circulation link with the whole body. In Russian we call pulmonary circulation малое кровообращение, systemic circulation большое кровообращение. Үлкен және кіші қан айналым жүйесі. Okay, pulmonary circulation, heart, lung, heart. Systemic, heart, body, heart. Okay, look at these three pictures. A represents fish, B amphibian, and C mammal. If you look at B, the difference between in fish heart structure, it has only two chambers, yeah, ventricle and atrium, and it has only one circulatory system. Okay, but in mammal it is different. We have two and we have four chambers. Okay, pulmonary circulation and systemic circulation. Pulmonary circulation link, we said, with the lung, and it starts, look at this picture, it starts from the ventricle. Exactly which ventricle? Look at the blue arrow here, yeah? Let's look more in depth, yeah? Let's just look with help of this one. Right ventricle starts connect with the lung, and it go into the lungs and come back into the left atrium, and this will be pulmonary circulation, and left ventricle. Blood from the left ventricle go into the whole body and come back into the right atrium, and this will give the systemic. Okay, now let's look at the blood vessels. This is another subtopic of our big topic. You know, 3 types of blood vessels, yeah? It is arteria, vein, and capillary. Of course, this arteria and vein has differences. First, look at the picture. In picture, you could see in the left side and in the right side, you have 2 types of vessels. Arteriole are in red color, and venule in blue color. Yeah, let's compare. Let's look at its structure. Arteriole, it has thicker wall, and it has thinner lumen. But in vein, it is vice versa. Let's look at this table. Yeah, characteristic: arteries and veins. Function: arteries carry blood away from the heart. Veins carry blood to the heart from the body. Lumen, wall size. Yeah, wall size. Small lumen in arteries, hollow portion but thick wall. In vein, larger lumen, thinner wall. Muscle in arteries, more muscular, smooth muscle cells, non-striated by actin and myosins, contract slowly. And in veins, less muscular but have valves. This is important. Remember, please, that veins have valves. Okay, elastic fibers. More elastic fibers in interna and medial layer. Less elastic fiber in veins. Collagenous fibers, yeah, in arteries, less in medial and adventitious outer layer, and in veins, more in medial and adventitious. Okay, this is basic differences between arteries and veins. Okay, look at this picture. What do you think? In this picture we have artery or vein? Of course, this is vein. Why? Because this blood vessel has a valve. Yeah, you see here, and in the right side, 2 valves. Okay, when pressure is greater in front of the valve, it closes. Yeah, in front of. But when pressure is greater behind the valve, it opens. Do you remember? What do you think? What is the function of valve in these veins? Of course, preventing backflow. And capillaries. You see here a picture of capillaries. Yeah, how it will work. Capillaries link exactly blood, allow diffusion of nutrients and of gases, into the body, and from the body into the blood system. Okay, capillaries. Unlike the arteries and veins, capillaries are very thin and fragile. Capillaries, they are very thin. Their sickness is one cell sickness. Okay, the capillaries are actively only one epithelial cell thick. They are so thin that blood cells can only pass through them in single file. Yeah. The heart is fed by the coronary arteries. The heart, just like any other organ, requires blood to supply it with oxygen and other nutrients so that it can do its work. Yeah. And the heart does not extract oxygen and other nutrients from the blood flowing inside it. It gets its blood from coronary arteries that eventually carry blood within the heart muscles. Approximately 4% to 5% of the blood output of the heart goes to the coronary arteries. There are two main coronary arteries, the left main coronary artery and the right coronary artery, which arise from the aorta. The left main coronary artery divides into the left anterior descending branch and the left circumflex arteries. Each artery supplies blood to different parts of the heart muscle and the electrical system. Okay, I think you understand, yeah, what is the function of coronary artery. The heart couldn't take its nutrients and oxygen which it needs for its own work, but this coronary artery supply heart with it. Yeah, okay. Composition of blood: plasma 55%, yeah, and plasma mostly consists of water, red blood cells, white blood cells, and platelets. Blood is about 90% water and 10% dissolved gases, salts, nutrients, enzymes, hormones, waste products, plasma proteins, cholesterol, and other important compounds. Okay, at home I will give you a task to look at home. At home you should look at transport system like a city's transport system, make an analogy with the human circulatory system. We looked at the blood component very looked at not in so depth. That's why at home you could look at that blood component. And also blood transfusions, which blood type is sometimes referred to as the universal donor, which is known as the universal recipient. This topic also, if you are familiar with genetics already, yeah, you have some information. Even if you don't have any information, you could look at donors and recipients and why this type of blood is universal donor or universal recipient. You should answer these questions. And of course you should look at first 4 types of blood: first, second, third, and fourth. Yeah, look for the last technology in searching of heart disease, how how doctors treat heart disease. It could be transplantation or other methods. Okay, I hope you enjoy our today's lesson, and I hope that you will connect with us during the next lesson.